Hello and welcome to this week's edition of EBC Sports International. I'm your host, Zsolti Horvath, coming to you from Vancouver, BC, Canada. Whether you're watching us live or catching up on our YouTube or Facebook page, we thank you so much for joining us, and we hope you're all staying safe and healthy during these interesting times. As always, I'm joined by a good group of friends who love to talk sports. Let's meet them. From Alexandria, Virginia, we have EJ Gonzalez.
What's up, everyone? Glad to see you back in the chair, Zsolti. Man, we miss you.
It's been a while. And from Washington, D.C., just across the pond from, or the river, I guess, from EJ, we got Ken Cruz.
Zsolti, I can tell that you've been locked up inside. That beard is going strong, sir.
Ooh, just wait a few more weeks. It'll get bigger. Thanks for joining us today, guys. And again, before we go on, we just want to remind you, our viewers, that we are by no means experts, but rather a good group of friends expressing our own opinions and sharing the same passion for sports. Before we get into our discussions, let's get you guys updated on some sports news. First up, let's throw it to EJ, who has an interesting story from the golf world.
Yeah, thanks, Zsolti. So multiple golf sources are reporting that the efforts of the Premier Golf League in making a new Golf Super League have not died off. This week, the Premier Golf League, who is backed by a Saudi team of negotiators, is making noise again by offering multi-million-dollar deals to several top golfers in the PGA. According to a report from The Telegraph, this potential new league has been offering up to $30 million to players including Justin Rose, Brooks Koepka, Phil Mickelson, and Dustin Johnson. Now, talks of forming this new league started in early 2020, but seemed to lose momentum after the start of the pandemic, and when Rory McIlroy said that he did not have any interest in joining. Now, this week, a lot of noise has resurfaced again, with the plans of the league to start tournaments as early as September of 2022. The Premier Golf League is looking for quick decisions from the players in order to get the ball rolling. Phil Mickelson did play with the league's financial backers in early 2020 and called the idea of the new league fascinating. During that time, PGA Tour Commissioner John Monahan wrote a letter to tour players for them to, quote, decide whether they want to continue to be a member of the PGA Tour or play on a new series, end quote. If this new league were to come to fruition, it could be a messy situation with how official world golf rankings are determined, as well as how it would impact the future of major championships. Back to you, Zsolti.
Thanks, EJ. Now let's take a look at another golf report from our Los Angeles bureau, who were on site for the Lpga La Open.
After 4 days of competition, the Hugo Air Premier LA Open at the Regal Wilshire Country Club reaches its conclusion.
And at the end of tournament play, it's LPGA player Brooke Henderson who claims the championship, along with a winner's share of a $1.5 million prize.
I'm super excited to get my 10th win on the LPGA Tour. It's definitely a dream come true, and it was really exciting to come from behind today, and I was just making a lot of birdies, and I got a lot of breaks, which was really awesome, and to finish it off with the victory is just incredible, and I'm just really happy for myself and my team, and it's really cool.
How are you going to fit that check in your car?
Yeah, it's a big one. I'm happy about it.
One thing players weren't happy about, however, was the absence of spectators from this year's tournament. Whether circling their favorite golfer for a picture or serving as a cheer section. The loss of fan attendance due to COVID restrictions was clearly noticed.
I think it's just less fun. I mean, there's nobody really cheering you on. You're hitting a good shot and you just don't know where it ended up because there's nobody to clap.
It's very empty, to be honest. To play without fans, it's not the same. I really enjoy the energy of people and the roars and everything around it. So the tournament kind of becomes a little more energetic. But I understand, that this is the way we gotta play now, and eventually we're gonna have more people coming in and enjoy the golf.
unfortunately, it's hard to get them out right now with COVID and all the restrictions and everything. So we've missed them more than anything. I think them coming to watch us. So, but hopefully, in another few months, we can get back to more of a normal life, and things should start to pick up.
From the quality of the course to international travel and even the pandemic, players weighed in on a variety of their golfing experiences, as well as what might await them down the road.
This course, it's playing a little differently to the last couple of years because the greens are definitely softer and the fairways are a little softer too. So it was playing a little longer, but definitely the greens were stopping pretty quickly. So it was actually pretty easier to score, yeah.
My condition wasn't good today, so every hole was difficult for me, so I don't know, it was tough. I played this course 3 times, and then I had every tournament was really good finish, so I'm happy. I'm looking forward next year.
Obviously, a lot of people are having very tough time in the pandemic time, and I just try to stay as safe as I can, and just training and doing what I need to do, just trying to prepare for the tournaments coming up.
I was supposed to be playing on the tour last year, but so beginning of the year they canceled a couple tournaments, and then I was just flying back home in Taiwan, and then ever since then I didn't come out at all. So it kind of just messed a lot of my schedule and my plan, but I'm happy to be back, yeah.
Especially when you travel like overseas, so it's like tough because like jet lag everything. But I find it really fun because to be able to play golf in other countries is so much fun.
Olympics is around the corner. Any chance we'll be seeing you in Tokyo?
Yeah, in 2016 it was really cool to be able to go to Rio and represent Canada, and it'd be great to be able to go to Tokyo again this year, represent Canada, and hopefully play a little better than I did last time.
Oh, the Olympics. I'm working on it. We'll see. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to if I can play in the Olympics. That would be really, really great experience, I think. But yeah, I'm trying pretty hard to get in there.
Many of today's players will be grinding out the months between now and the Olympics by competing in several upcoming tournaments, which for them means hopping from one country to the next to play on some of the world's best fairways.
But a packed, globe-trotting schedule isn't anything unusual for professional golfers. And as the race to reach the sport's top ranks heats up, we can expect these ladies to demonstrate how powering through rough patches is just par for the course. In Los Angeles, California, Eva and Allen, EBC Sports International, we live in interesting times.
Awesome. Great stuff by our Los Angeles Bureau. And it's great to see the EBC sports teams back at it, covering live.
Because we live in interesting times.
Welcome back, everyone. Let's get the conversation started with some NBA. 3 teams in the East and 4 teams in the West have now clinched a playoff spot. In the East, we have the Sixers, the Nets, and the Bucks, which, was probably given before the season even started. In the West, though, we have the Jazz, the Suns, the Clippers, and the Nuggets. So let's start off by asking Ken, which of these teams has the biggest chance to make a deep playoff run?
All right, let's go with those that I feel won't be making deep playoff run. Let's just process elimination here, right? So for sure, not for sure, but without Murray, the Nuggets they just don't have enough juice, right, to go really deep. If the playoffs were to start today, they'd go against the Mavericks, and the Mavericks are extremely hot right now, 8-2 in their last 10. So I feel like if they were to match up head-to-head, Luka would have the advantage over Jokic. And it's just, especially with Murray not being able to guard Jokic, able to guard Doncic, then I feel like that's just going to be a short series potentially. As far as the healthy teams, right now, like Clippers and the Suns are probably the healthiest teams in the league at the moment. So I feel like if the playoffs were to start, which are about to start, depending on the team, you're looking at 5 or 6 games left in the season, right? And then the good thing is these top teams, if you're not in a playoff team, you have a week of rest. So with that week of rest, that's a lot of time for the hurt teams like the Jazz, because what's his name?
Donovan Mitchell.
Mitchell's out for at least another week. And then the Nets, Harden wants to come back before the end of the season, but I don't know how likely that is. With a hamstring injury, that's pretty serious. But as far as the Suns and the Clippers, honestly, if they don't make a deep playoff run this year, I just don't know what to say, because the way they've looked lately, especially with Kawhi Leonard back in the lineup, Patrick Beverley back in the lineup, and Rondo really taking the form, and the way that DeMarcus Cousins looked last night against the Lakers, he looks like, at least not even just he's looked like a shell of himself, honestly, because of all these injuries, but he looked like, at least a starting center last night. And if he continues to play like that, the Clippers continue to play like this, I don't see them any less than the Western Conference Finals. And for them, that's a deep playoff run, because they haven't got that far ever as a franchise. The Suns, I just don't think CP3 is enough. I know I've mentioned this before. CP3, he's elevated this team to at least finish second and potentially first in the Western Conference, which is an amazing feat. They might even finish with the best record in the league, especially since Mitchell continues to be out. But I just don't feel that, match them up against the Warriors first round. Let's say the Warriors get 8 seed. I see the Warriors upsetting the Suns. So I can see them having a very, very short run. And then real quick for the East Coast, the Nets, as I mentioned, if Harden's not back and healthy, I see a 7th seed right now, which is the Celtics, can potentially upsetting, and even worse if the Wizards somehow match up against them in the first round, that's an upset city right there, especially if Harden's not healthy and whole. And then for those both 76ers and the Bucks, I see both those guys making a deep playoff run, especially, honestly, I think out of those 3 teams, the top 3 teams, 76ers, Nets, Bucks, I see the Bucks making the deepest playoff run this year. Why? Because Jrue Holiday is playing like the guy that they wanted. I mean, Chris Middleton, unfortunately, isn't that second guy. And Jrue Holiday came onto this team to be that dude. And I don't know if you guys watched that video of him, analyzing how he plays defense on the top guys like Steph Curry and all that. It really shows us how great of a defensive mind this guy has, and that's extremely important when he matches up against guys like Ben Simmons, guys like Kyrie Irving, guys like James Harden in the playoffs. And so that's where I think the Bucks will have that advantage this year. To get over that hump, because I think if they don't go far, Coach Bud isn't going to be back next year.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that last statement you just said there. EJ, what about you? Which of these teams have the biggest chance to make the longest playoff run?
Yeah, Ken pretty much hit the nail on the head, man. He mentioned pretty much all the stuff that I was going to mention, so it's kind of it's all good. It's all good. Man, I'm like Ken said, I'm having a little bit of difficulty in trusting the Nets right now, man. It's like they definitely missed their best playmaker in James Harden. Like the guy is so underrated. I really think that he could have made an MVP push if he were healthy, because the Nets looked great with him. And it's crazy because before the start of the season, we talked about how crazy or scary the Nets was going to look with just Kyrie and Durant. But now both Durant and Kyrie are putting up great numbers right now. They're both healthy. They're both playing in there, but they're not translating it into wins. The team right now with just KD and Kyrie playing are 12-11. That's insane. I mean, and I think since acquiring James Harden, they've been 7-8, which means when James Harden's not there, they really don't have that playmaker on the floor. Again, Kyrie and Durant are playing great basketball. They're putting up crazy numbers. I think Kyrie put like 40 points up just the other day, but they haven't been able to close out games, which is crazy when you think about the closers they have in Durant and Kyrie.
EJ, quick side question. Do you think if we knew that Harden was going to be hurt up until now, that let's say like obviously thing is 2020, right? Hindsight. Do you think the Nets should have traded all those pieces, or would they have been stronger with those pieces now versus trading for Harden?
Well, it's crazy because I think if James Harden were healthy, all worth it. They would be winning games. So
right. Well, this is why I'm asking the question. Yeah.
Right. When you have the chance to have an All NBA talent, 3 All NBA talents on the same team, I say go for it, man. There's no risk putting out great players who can definitely produce from coming off the bench. But I mean, if you got a chance to have a third All NBA talent on your team, definitely go for it. And it just goes to show how important that third All NBA team is for this Brooklyn Nets team. With him being out right now, I think they're panicking, especially because it's a hamstring injury, like you mentioned, for him to be 100% healthy when he does come back. Again, they're trying to push him back before the end of the season, but I don't know. I think the Nets don't go far without James Harden, which is crazy because I love KD, and I think KD could carry the team to a championship, to the championships. But right now, they're just not clicking, and I think it's because of all the time that they're missing. I mean, they've only played like 12 games together, the big three, which is crazy.
Really quick question, EJ. Do you think that Kyrie's antics have anything to do with it? Like, are they a distraction to the team? Because once again, he just got fined again, right, for not speaking to the media and skipping out on media availability.
Honestly, I didn't even hear about that because I think they're used to it. Like, it's not making news anymore. So I don't think they're getting distracted by that, by how Kyrie is. Because honestly, Kyrie is their best player right now, not KD. I mean, I'm seeing KD during late games, and he's not able to produce, which is crazy. I don't know if it's still an injury that's bothering him or what, but or he's just missing shots. But Kyrie is the guy who's making his shots. So the team ain't running without Kyrie. So Kyrie is definitely important for that team. I don't know how far they're gonna go without all of them being healthy. So the Sixers and the Bucks, like Ken said, definitely have the best chances because they are healthy and they're one of the hotter teams in the NBA right now. And in the West, again, Clippers, I think definitely have the best chance to have that playoff run. Again, advantage over the Nuggets is the health because Jamal Murray's not there, and the advantage over the Suns is pure experience. I mean, you got Rondo, you got Kawhi Leonard, Ibaka, these guys who have won championships already. This is the first time the Suns has ever made the playoffs in the last, 10, 12 years, right? So they just don't have that experience on their side, aside from Chris Paul, but he hasn't even made it past the conference finals. So it's hard to put my trust in them.
So let's flip the script here real quick and talk about the teams that are still trying to clinch a spot. There are 9 teams in the East and 8 in the West that still have a shot at competing in at least the play-in games. This includes Ken's Lakers in the West, who sit at number 7, and EJ's Wizards in the East, who sit in the 10th spot. EJ, which of these teams still fighting for a shot do you see making the play-in games, and what play-in game are you hoping to see?
The Wizards. They will make the play-in games. They are going to make the play-in games, and I think they have a shot of climbing all the way up to the 8th spot, which is a good advantage because even if you lose that first play-in game, you still have a chance to win that second one in order to get into the playoffs. Now, why I say this, they're playing the Pacers next. I think it's tomorrow. They have a chance to climb them, and again, if they have the same record, they have the series tie there, so they would automatically bump ahead of them. So they're already at the 9th if they take care of business next game. They also have the easiest schedule out of all these guys, okay? We play the Pacers and then Atlanta, Cleveland, and the Hornets. The Hornets, we're only 1.5 games behind them. And if they have a tougher schedule than us, that's for sure. So they have some losable games. All the games that we're playing next should be winnable games, and we're one of the hottest teams in the NBA. I think we can claim that 8th spot, especially if we beat Indiana and Charlotte in these upcoming games. So I have high hopes for the Wizards. I don't care who we face, because whoever we face, I think they're going to be the ones scared, especially with the way that we're playing right now. And Daniel Gafford, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but this guy has been making a name for himself since that trade from Chicago. Never heard of the guy. I was pissed when we got him, and now I'm in love with him. I hope they keep him on the roster going into next year, but I'm excited for what the Wizards have just this year. Russell Westbrook is insane right now.
All right, Ken, same question to you. Which of these teams are going to make the play-in games, and what play-in game are you hoping to see? Let me guess before you answer. Lakers.
No, that's not the play-in game I want to see, because I don't want them in the play-in game at all.
You don't want them in the play-in game.
They're in trouble. They will be in trouble if they get in the play-in tournament.
I mean, the thing is, right? So, like, I don't see them. I don't see the Warriors or the Grizzlies overstepping. Overstepping them, and as far as them dropping down to 9 and 10, right? I don't see that. I see them at the very worst number 7 right now. They're going against the Blazers. Let's score 20-29. They're down 9 first quarter, and I mean, this is a pivotal game, right? I mean, it'll change up. Yeah, it'll change up at least one game ahead for the team that wins. And so based on tonight, the Lakers have a semi-hard schedule. They have the Suns on Sunday. They have Pacers, and then I believe 3 teams that are sub 500, which I think are very winnable games, right? So I feel with the Lakers, it's very tough because as we know, and as LeBron has been very forthcoming in his thoughts on how this play-in game situation is. He wants the guy fired, whoever thought of it, in less than friendly words. As far as what the situation is for them, right? So they would play, I believe, 7 versus 8.
It would be Warriors right now if it started today.
A game against the Warriors would be really tough, but I feel like they would win that. Let's say they lose that, they would. I almost guarantee win against the Grizzlies and the Spurs. Right now, the Pelicans probably won't make it just because Zion just got confirmed to have a fractured ring finger on his dominant left hand, so he's going to be out for a while. Probably won't play again this season because the Pelicans got to protect their best asset. And then the Kings actually might make a run, but I mean, at the same time too, the Kings, you never know with those guys. So I feel like it's going to be Grizzlies and Spurs rounding out the 9th and 10th spot, and I feel like those guys. It's just going to be the Lakers and the Warriors representing 7th and 8th. But real quick, who would they match up in the first round? It would be the Jazz and the Suns, which I think the Lakers would be favored with against if LeBron is.
They're healthy.
A certain percentage. I know we have a little separate conversation on that. Just wanted to bring that up. And as for the Warriors, if I were the Jazz or the Suns, I would not want to see the Warriors because that's.
I think real quick before we do have to go to break. If the Lakers end up in 8th and have to play the Jazz, I think the Lakers would take that series. And same with the Warriors. If they end up in 7th against the Suns, I think the Warriors would take that series. My 2 cents.
It's just the playoff experience is different for these two teams, right? I mean, both the Warriors and the Lakers' current rosters are championship rosters, championship experienced rosters, and so I feel like when they get to the playoffs, everything slows down, and all these, and it's just your mentality. You just have to have that fire to win, that Mamba mentality, honestly. And the Warriors and the Lakers both have that. And so I think the Jazz and the Suns should be very worried for a first-round matchup against these two.
All right, great thoughts, guys. Let's go ahead and take a quick break because we did run a little bit over. But when we come back, we'll discuss the potential return of LeBron again because he's injured again, and where our panel ranks Russell Westbrook in the top point guards of all time. This is EBC Sports International.
Kickoff.
This much is certain. Something is coming. The fact check for the kickoff of the Bundesliga. Who are the favorites? Who should be nervous? And where might surprises be lurking? We dare to look ahead to the new season.
Kickoff.
Welcome back to EBC Sports International, and thanks for sticking with us. After sitting out 20 games due to a bad ankle sprain, LeBron James returned for 2 games last weekend before he left Sunday's matchup against Toronto with soreness in the same ankle. It was reported by The Athletic's Shams Charania that LeBron James is aiming to return Tuesday against the Knicks, my Knicks, or Wednesday against the Rockets. Ken, do you feel like he's trying to rush back into the game to save the Lakers from missing the playoffs?
Honestly, I think that they're actually being extremely, cautious with him because I feel like he could have played even against the Wizards, a game that they lost. Being in that game, he looked so antsy to jump in, they lost that game by 9. They lost to the Kings when he first came back. They lost to the Raptors that Sunday, and the game that he didn't play against the Nuggets, they won. So it's just tough. I mean, he looked better in his first 2 games back than AD did in his first game. Anthony Davis had a really poor showing. I think it was only his 3rd game when he finally started looking a little bit like Anthony Davis, but. It's just tough because, especially if they continue to stink, the Lakers front office and Coach Vogel have to be extremely wise about how they strategize putting him in and where they rank in the Western Conference playoff picture. I think that's the biggest thing. You got to find a balance that works. Because to your point, if you put him in too early, there's a chance that it might get hurt again and miss more time, and then there goes your playoff chances. But at the same time, too, if you wait too long, they might sink to 7-8, which there's a high chance that they might do, and then have to play in that playing game, and that's a NCAA March Madness style play-in, and you lose 2, you're out. And the Lakers, especially LeBron-led Lakers, and even LeBron-led playoff teams, are notorious for losing game 1. So, it's one of those things where I'm sure the Lakers know this. I'm sure Coach Vogel knows this. And with the Lakers not including tonight, having 5 games left, and as you mentioned, LeBron going to probably play with the last 4 games, that's not a lot of time to ask for LeBron to be able to get back to his GOAT form. And then also Dennis Schroeder's out for another few games because he's on COVID protocol himself. So it's extremely challenging. And on a side note, very frustrating that these guys aren't all vaccinated because look what happened to Schroeder, right? I mean, he said it himself. He has to get vaccinated because you can't just be a Dennis the Menace to your team in a crucial time like this. I mean, him not playing and him just being at home playing video games. Literally, you can see him streaming during Laker games. It's not a good look. And we need him on the floor. Alex Caruso is our point guard right now, and it's just extremely challenging to see. The Lakers lost those 2 games that LeBron was in, but at the same time too, you see what a difference having someone as experienced as LeBron, as great as LeBron, have on the team as far as their confidence, and that's what they need right now, because right now they're just playing so disjointed.
EJ, what do you think? Do you think he's risking re-injuring his ankle again for the 3rd time if he comes back too early?
I mean, it's hard to say, because this is one of the most the Iron Man of the league, right? He knows how to take care of his body. He trains it so well during the off season. He puts so much money into training his body, and it just sucks that it's crazy. An ankle injury can keep somebody out this long. I mean, all of us have played ball. We've all definitely had an experience of us rolling an ankle, and it sucks. And at the age that LeBron James is right now, it's hard to say, because even though he is one of the most healthy players ever in the league, he is 36 years old. 36, 38. Ken, how old is LeBron James right now?
He's 36 in his 18th year. Yep.
Exactly. I mean, he has some miles under his legs, so coming back from an ankle injury isn't as easy as some people might think, because of how healthy LeBron has kept himself over the years. But LeBron knows his body better than anybody else. He'll know when he's ready to go back onto the court. If he's there playing, he knows that he's ready to play, and when he's on the court, he's going to give it his all. I don't think he's rushing him back. I wanted to get on the comments that he said about the play-in tournament, though, Ken, which you mentioned earlier. I wanted to ask you, man, because I was heated when I heard his comments about the play-in tournament. Everyone who's watching basketball right now loves the play-in tournament, how competitive the league is up until the last few games of the season. And it really does give advantages for those higher tier seeds, right? And I think personally, he's mad because the Lakers weren't able to keep them in a good playoff spot. And that's why he made those comments. I really don't think that he's opposed to the play-in tournament. I think he's more frustrated that the Lakers are falling now into that, trap where they could not even make it to the playoffs because of the play-in tournament. Yeah, Ken, what do you think about his comments? Do you think he just said it out of frustration?
Oh, absolutely. It's one of those things where it's just if the Lakers were healthy, they'd be the number 1 seed, right? Or at least number 2 in the Western Conference. And you would have never heard any of those words coming out of his mouth. But put him in the situation, and
it's so funny.
It's just well, I mean, as you mentioned, it's great for the league. The only teams that don't like it are the ones that have to play it, that are 7th and 8th seeds. The 9th and 10th love it because they get a chance to get in. And the fan bases of these 9th and 10th teams, Wizards, just love this. This is a great opportunity. I mean, it's you have a reason to play hard to finish the year versus resting everybody and just waiting for the lottery balls in a couple months.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, I mean, that it potentially means it could mean an extra 4 games for the Lakers before the playoffs even start if they lose the 7-8 game and then have to play against the 9 or 10 seed. But anyway, let's move on. So we all know that Russell Westbrook is an absolute baller. If he scores 0 points, gets 0 rebounds, and 0 assists for the remainder of the season, he'll still average a triple-double for the year, which is insane. And not only that, he'll also average a triple-double for the 4th time in 5 years. So this begs the question, where does Russ stand on the all-time point guards list? Bleacher Report in 2019 had him at number 9, while ESPN left him off their top 10 last year, and others have him as low as the mid-20s. EJ, he's on the Wizards right now. Where would you rank him and why?
I mean, even before he got to the Wizards, I was a huge Russell Westbrook fan with OKC and Kevin Durant, James Harden. I mean, like, this guy never cheats the game. He gives it his all 100% of the time. And I would rank him at a top 5 by the end of his career. As of right now, I think he's definitely in the top. He's definitely in the top 10. But I would rank him in the top 5 by the end of his career, because there's still a lot of playing time. There's still a lot of playing time for his career, and what he's doing right now has not been done in NBA history. He's about to eclipse Oscar Robertson, so you can't keep him. You can't keep the Big O over Russell Westbrook, in my opinion. Why? Because he's about to eclipse the thing that the Big O was known for, and that's triple doubles. Nobody thought that we would be witnessing that in this day and age, but we are in Russell Westbrook. Another crazy stat, which is like Russell's favorite thing to do, is just break stats every single night. He's the first player in NBA history to record 50 rebounds and 50 assists within a 3-game span. This is a point guard we're talking about. I can guarantee we haven't seen a better rebounder at the point guard spot than Russell Westbrook. I don't think anybody's going to argue that. This is the best rebounder we've ever seen at the point guard spot. And this guy is leading the league in assists right now. 13th in assists all time right now. And his career's not over. And he's already eclipsed guys like Rajon Rondo, who's known to be a good facilitator, or Tony Parker, who's also a great point guard in the NBA. I think by the end of Russell Westbrook's career, he'll break so many records that it's inevitable. He might not have won a championship. The Big O did, but he had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar with him. If Russell Westbrook had a top 3 center in the league right now, I guarantee they would be making huge runs. I mean, he's been paired with guards and forwards, right? Give him a top 3 center in the league. I think that's Russell Westbrook's bread and butter, and they can make a lot more noise that way. The year after they made it to the finals in 2012 with KD and James Harden, OKC decided to cut James Harden out of the picture, and that was their end of the run to the finals. That I think they would have won multiple championships had those 3 been kept together. But yeah, I mean, by the end of this career, top 5 for sure. I mean, you could keep Magic Johnson, John Stockton ahead of him. The other 2, Chris Paul right now, people is putting him ahead. I think Russell Westbrook will even finish above Chris Paul by the end of his career.
All right, so we only have 3.5 minutes left on the block. Ken, I can see you're dying to say something, so go ahead.
My goodness, man, that's if I've heard a homer take ever in my life, that must have been one of them. Just kidding, EJ. So I mean, Coach Scott Brooks said, I think it was just last week, that he's the second best point guard of all time. Yeah, it's just like, I mean, like, what I can give Russell Westbrook is he's probably the most explosive point guard of all time. I can give him that, right? I mean, if you were going to look at top 10. But I mean, my list, I'd have to say he's like probably like low to mid-teens. I mean, you have to give it up for Magic Johnson, Isaiah Thomas, Steph Curry, John Stockton, Oscar Robertson. I know it's tough to say that he's still gonna be above him, but I don't know. I have to see Westbrook in a deep playoff run again at this point in his career, and then I can probably evaluate that. Steve Nash, absolutely. I'd say Jason Kidd also.
Steve Nash didn't win a championship, though.
He did, but he has 2 MVPs.
And Russell Westbrook has one.
Has one, right? So I have to say Steve Nash is still better. And then I'd say the logo, Jerry West, is also above it. And I mean, just for his impact in the game and also having a scrub team, I'd say Allen Iverson is still above him. I'd say Russell Westbrook is above Gary Payton, Chauncey Billups. Those are all-time greats too. But I think Russell Westbrook, the way it's just tough, right? I mean, like, I say this run that he's making right now is an amazing historic run. Why? Because the beginning of the year, he was obviously hurt, and he got a lot of bad press and a lot of fans like turning their backs on him, and that was extremely disrespectful, I would say, for someone as accomplished as Russ. And for the Brody to come back from the second half of the year and on and look as good as he's ever been, I'd say definitely. He's making a really good case for him to continue to climb that list. I don't think this list is. I think he's gonna climb this list. Obviously he still has some time in his career, and should he continue to get paired up with another player, a stronger player, as you mentioned, if he gets a big with him, an actual strong big. I mean, who's the best big that he's played with? I mean, it's Steven Adams, right? Storage Ibaka, Clint Capella. I mean, these guys are borderline all-stars, if that. But they're not
not top three, like a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar MVP type.
Right. They're not Jokic. They're not AD. They're not even Rudy Gobert. So I feel like if he had those guys on his squad, absolutely. But I mean, like right now, I feel like he's an all-timer. He's one of the most exciting guys to play. And I have to give this stuff right. Last point. I mentioned this last week. He's willed his team, and you can see the difference he makes on his team because everyone wants to dunk in everyone's face like how he does. And he showed it against the Lakers, and I was firsthand there. Everyone wanted to do a Russell Westbrook, and that's because Russell Westbrook inspires his team to be to jump the next level.
All right, great points, guys. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we will talk some football and, of course, our question of the week. EBC Sports International will be right back.
The only solution that allows the Philippines to fully open the economy is vaccinating the employed sector. Lumagpas na nga sa mahigit 1 milyon ang kaso ng COVID-19 sa bansa. We are at war with an invisible enemy, and the only weapon to win the war is the vaccine. Subalit nakakapagtaka na marami ding mga Pilipino ang ayaw mabakunahan sa gitna ng giyera sa pandemya. These and the views of the Presidential Advisor for Entrepreneurship and Go Negosyo founder Joey Concepcion will shed light on the problems surrounding vaccination and why he believes that vaccination will expedite the country's return to economic recovery.
We have to look at this pandemic equal to war. No? It's the war that we are not using artilleries and bombs and all of that. What's happening here is that the infection is from something that you don't see. How do you eradicate the infection? You kill the virus by taking the vaccine because he cannot enter your body, and likewise the other guy. So as you do that more and more and more over a herd immunity of, let's say, 80, 85%, even 90%, then the enemy in you dies.
All these in this week's episode of Open for Business.
Welcome back to EBC Sports International. The NFL draft concluded last Sunday, and 259 hardworking young men heard their name called by different NFL teams, making their dreams come true. Well, let's ask Ken and EJ what they thought about their team picks. EJ, of course, Washington football team. Ken, the LA Rams. So Ken, let's start with you. The Rams did not have a first-round pick, but had 9 overall picks. What do you think of their draft class?
You know what's crazy with the Rams is that they pick a lot of off-season guys, a lot of guys in the off-season, and they make a lot of big blockbuster trades. You know, they're projected to go about 7 seasons without making a first-round pick. That's just like, I guess that's the less need Sean McVay way. But I mean, he to Snead's defense, and one of the great things that he does is he picks very, very good mid-round talent, right? Cooper Kupp, John Johnson III. Those are amazing picks that nobody, a lot of people overlooked, and look how great they are, right? Matthew Stafford as an off-season pick, I think is pickup is going to be an amazing. I mean, like, I think even without touching the football in a Rams jersey, he's probably going to be already the second best Ram quarterback behind Kurt Warner, right? And so I think what Snead and what McVay and the rest of their teams, when their mindset drafting was to put some weapons around Stafford. Even though the Rams have a great receiving core, like I guess more is better than less. Even though, I mean, when you look at what the Rams actually need, they actually needed to strengthen their O-line. And for the second straight year, that didn't happen. And it's kind of a big question mark, and kind of what brought down the overall grade from all these media pundits on their draft is because they didn't strengthen that. I mean, in some interviews with Snead and McVay, they said that they believe their 11-man O-line core that's coming back is strong, and they want experience over green grass guys. And so I feel like some of these picks, their wide receiver pick in the second round, 57. Louisville's 2-2. Well, I mean, this guy, I think he had the second fastest 40 in the draft. And so, but I mean, he's like kind of semi-undersized, 5'9", 155. But I mean, it's just weird that there was a center, I think the Chargers picked up, I forgot who it was, like 3 or 4 picks later. But they went with this guy, which is kind of strange. And they went with talent over need. But I think this guy, Tutu, great name. I think he's going to be great, at least for the special teams, for punt returns, at least instantly. And then the second, I mean, there's a couple other picks, but the other pick that I wanted to mention, and I think he's going to be awesome, is Jake Funk. They picked him up in the 7th round, 233. He's a running back. Guess where he played, EJ?
Would it be Maryland?
Yes, it is, sir. Yes, it is. That's why I asked. So the thing with him, the reason why he got picked up in the 7th round, not earlier, I mean, he's explosive, but he has knee issues. And, I think this is a great potential pick for the Rams. And he has probably the best name in the NFL already. Jake Funk. I mean, that's a jersey that's probably going to fly off the shelves. And, last thing I wanted to mention is that, the Rams, I think, with their picks this year are more so going for athleticism and raw. A lot of these guys are raw, and a lot of these guys might redshirt. They may not even get a game day jersey, but I feel like this is a lot of building blocks for the future.
All right, EJ, the Washington football team had 10 picks and chose Kentucky linebacker Jamin Davis in the 1st round. What do you think of their draft class?
Hey, man, I think they did great in the NFL draft. I don't know about you, Jolte, you're the NFL expert, man. So, but all the articles I'm reading, a lot of people are giving them an A in their draft picks this year. I like the pick with Jamin Davis Jamin Davis out of Kentucky, and adding another, a great asset to an already great defense, which is what Washington football team is known for. And then they also in the 3rd round drafted Benjamin St-Juste out of Minnesota, and I think that they're adding. So it looks like Ron Rivera's approach to draft class is adding pieces to a team and then worry about that quarterback position later. Again, that's still up in the air with Ryan Fitzpatrick and what's his name? Oh my gosh, Taylor Heineke.
Yep.
But I'm excited to watch them this upcoming season. I actually like our 7th round picks as well, just like Ken. We got a pass rusher in Shaka Toney out of Penn State. And a wide receiver out of BYU, Dax Milne. Now, I know that the teams always want to show highlights of like the best highlights that they can to get the fans excited on their Instagram, right? But I mean, the highlights that they put up on Dax Milne especially impressed me a lot. And adding another wide receiver to Terry McLaurin and our signing of Curtis Samuel, I think already improves our wide receiver positions tremendously. But I'm excited to see what these guys can bring to the table, and hope they find another gem, just like Terry McLaurin, who was a late rounder as well for the Washington football team. But great moves. I'm excited for next season for the Washington football team, man.
I do want to add real quick another name to the best name in the NFL draft. The 6th-round pick for Washington, Cameron Cheeseman.
Cheeseman. Bring in the cheese, baby.
Is he from Wisconsin or what?
I don't remember where he's from. Anyway, we can't end our show without a question of the week. We got to be real quick with this one, fellas. There are a ton of great video games in the world, but I want to know what your favorite sports video game is of all time and why. I'll start. For me, it's easily NCAA 14, which only came out on PS2, and that was the last NCAA football game ever made, until, of course, they're going to make one in a few years, apparently. But I still have it. I still have my PS2 to play it, just because it was the greatest sports game ever made. Ken?
Mine's going to be an NBA Live 2005 with Carmelo Anthony in the front. You know why? Because it was the first game, NBA game, that they had the dunk contest. And man, I was putting up LeBron James versus Kobe all day, every day on that one.
All right, EJ.
Man, hands down, this is the best game ever. NBA Street Volume 2. Bro,
Nice.
That's such an iconic game. I wish they would bring it back with the current NBA players.
The soundtrack.
Yeah, the soundtrack was amazing. I mean, they even broke down all the moves. And I would go to my backyard and practice the slip and slide and everything, man. I'm telling you. NBA Street Volume 2, hands down, best NBA game to ever come out.
All right, great stuff as always, guys. That is all the time we have for this week's edition of EBC Sports International. On behalf of everyone on our panel, thank you so much for joining us, and be sure to tune in again next week. Make sure to visit our websites at eaglenews.net and eaglenewslive.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at EagleNewsPH to join the conversation. For EBC Sports International, I'm Schulte Horvath. We live in interesting times.
Rise up every Saturday morning sa mga balitang dapat mong malaman sa Agila, Pilipinas at Eagle News International. Sa Winners Saturdays, panalo naman ang hapon mo sa mga talento ng Pinoy sa kantahan sa Tagisan ng Galing Part 2, Singing Edition at Letters and Music. Meron din sa mga